seconds on the Instagram side. So just keep everything up on your Instagram side, and then it will kind of go like a darker blue on go live on your Instagram side. It usually just takes a few seconds. And if it's not,
it's grayed
oh, there
out
we go.
now. It's ready.
Awesome.
All right, I'm going live.
Woohoo! We are live with the amazing Matt Maruca of Raw Optics today. Welcome, Matt, coming in from Qatar, correct?
Yeah, yes, correct. Hi, Carrie.
Gosh,
How are you?
I love it. Oh my gosh, so good to see you, Matt. So I had the joy and pleasure of meeting Matt in Health Optimization Summit in Austin, Texas. We did a deep dive into his background and kind of why Raw Optics, why, yellow lenses, which I'm wearing. He's wearing the red light lenses, the background of that. But I really wanted to get more into a Q&A today, which is so fun to do with, so people have so many questions and there's so many products out there, right? And it's so confusing nowadays. So it's just really great to get founders on, the people who created it, and, why they did, number one, but just give people a chance to, ask some questions, and it's super fun. So if anybody's tuning in live today, make sure to drop your questions in the chat and we will get to those. We already have a bunch of questions that have come in from our Life Network members, so we'll be getting to those as well. And we will post the recording later on if you're not able to tune in live. So let us know where you're tuning in from if you're tuning in live as well. And I want to dive in. So I want to just give a little bit of background about Matt. So he is CEO and founder of Raw Optics, creator of the Light Diet. I love that. What started as a personal search to heal his chronic fatigue, gut issues, and brain fog became a global movement to reconnect us to the most foundational source of healing, light. At just 17, Matt launched Raw Optics and now travels the world. Like we just said, he's currently in Qatar, sharing how light impacts not just our sleep and hormones, but our mitochondria, mood, and even consciousness. His glasses are beautiful. I'm wearing them currently, but his deeper message is about transformation of the body, the spirit, and the human connection to nature. Matt, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Hallelujah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, well, you have a powerful story, and it's always our pain that sparks our purpose, right? And our passion. So
Yeah.
Can you kind of dive into that a little bit? And I know you talk about how like light is more foundational than food when it comes to our health. Can you speak to that and kind of give people a little bit of background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always considered myself a very curious person. And as I went through my younger years, I'll give you kind of my whole life story, but in summary, you come into the world, you don't really know what anything is in the beginning. And then, you just start learning and you just go with the flow and you pick things up as you go along. And just a part of my experience was having these kind of health issues. I didn't know anything other than that, So I was having gas and stomach distress since I was a young kid. I was starting to get really bad seasonal allergies as I got a little bit older. I'm talking like 5 years old to 8 years old. I remember in third grade, so around 8, I was having these really bad allergies. And then going into middle school, I started to get really bad migraine headaches while I was in class and school. Yeah. And this was just my experience of the world. And the reason I prefaced the way I did was because I didn't really know anything else. It was just like my life. And I also enjoyed my life very much. I was very fortunate, great parents, great family, great upbringing, and just very fortunate and blessed in general. But this was something that was part of my life. And at a certain point, my mom naturally said, well, maybe we should check this out. Of course, the allergies, they basically, in short, she took me to an allergist at one point because of the allergies I was having. So I got all these different drugs prescribed, like super strong antihistamines. I went at one point to a gastroenterologist for my stomach distress, and they just told me to take Tums, literally. And then, pediatricians would just recommend Advil, for example, for headaches. So that was really my experience with Western medicine. Fortunately, my mother, she purchased organic groceries where she could. She knew about kind of alternative thinking. At one point, she took me to some kind of kinesiologist or alternative medicine doctor to try to figure things out at a deeper level. And I think that was at least kind of moving the right direction. And I did some sort of, yeast cleanse, sugar-free diet, which probably had some benefit. At the time I was probably 10 or 11 years old. But in the end, I went back to the way I was doing things, and the symptoms kind of just were the way they were. They didn't really go away, right?
Yeah.
There was no significant shift that would have motivated me to keep doing things the way I did them in that period. So anyway, as I got a bit older, I the issues were worse and worse as I went into high school. It was really
Jeez.
affecting my ability to like just feel normal.
Yeah.
Um, and so anyway, that's when I started just taking things more into my own hands.
Hmm.
And it was particularly motivated by a vanity, actually. So I started getting breakouts on my skin, and that
Oh,
happens, like,
interesting.
and hormones are changing and
True.
stuff, like kids in high school now,
Oh,
often
yeah.
start getting acne and whatnot. But for me, I was like very self-conscious of that. And I think most people are. And so I started researching what I could do about that. I thought maybe something was wrong with my gut because,
Hmm.
my mother had told me that if you eat greasy foods, it'll clog your pores. And I was like, maybe something's just wrong with my gut. And then I
Yeah.
started reading, and I actually learned about this concept of leaky gut,
Hmm.
and I came across the paleo diet first, the Whole30, and
Yeah.
then I realized paleo, and then I came across Ben Greenfield. I mean, I must have been 14 years old, so I learned
Yeah.
about Ben, maybe even a bit younger, Ben and Mark Sisson and Chris
Yeah.
Kresser and Rob Wolf and all these guys who are sort of the
The
early
OGs.
founders, the OGs of the paleo movement. Yeah, and it's amazing. Like it's gone a really long way and evolved into many
Hmm.
different, types of things at this point. I'm not even sure if anybody does paleo anymore, calls it that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
true.
carnivore, there's this, but anyway, so that was my experience. And one of the things that really struck me the most was on the blog of Mark's Daily Apple, this concept of epigenetics. That I just remember coming across an article about
Yeah.
epigenetics and how basically we weren't confined to what our genes said. In other words, through
Mm.
different choices in our life, and he said particularly diet, you can completely transform your expression of your genes and therefore your health and your life. And
Amazing.
somehow this idea struck me as, and I'm not sure why it struck me like this, but it struck me as we have a, the possibility of being unlimited. Like if you can modify your gene expression, what's to stop somebody from growing to be 8 feet tall or having superhuman strength or whatever? Like somehow
Wow.
that just came into my head as like,
Yeah. You're
maybe
like,
it's
okay.
possible. Maybe not when you're already fully grown and developed, but I would think, when you're raising a child, of course it has a huge impact. And I knew then that I was still growing and developing, and I had, 10 years that I could really change at least that I could change the trajectory of my, physical development. And now I know, I look at people like, I see Instagram memes all the time of like Jeff Bezos. When he started, he looked like super nerdy, to now he looks like pretty good. And like
I
Tom Brady,
know.
when he started, like he kind of
Yeah.
looked like a bit of a nerd, and now he's like, dating, marrying supermodels and
Yeah.
whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not just because they got rich, although that might be a big part of it, but like they
It
somehow
helped.
were able to take care of themselves at a level that literally led to their physical body
Yeah.
looking really different, like
A higher
drastically
level.
different, like their
Hmm.
face, their jaw, their
So
whole.
true.
So it's still definitely at play even as you get older.
Hmm.
So this was the thing that really struck me, and the I think the erroneous conclusion that I accepted then, because of really strong premises, was that it's 80% diet and 20% everything else. And I
Interesting.
fully accepted that when I was
Yeah.
14. And so basically I started becoming obsessive about diets, because like when you're 14, you've had health issues your whole life, and now you're convinced
Yeah.
that you can heal them with diet. It's a
Mm.
natural thing to become obsessive. And,
Yep.
because I was like terrified. I was like, if I don't get this perfect, like I'm going to struggle for the rest of my life and never be able to be
Mm.
normal and never, have a girlfriend or like whatever,
Yeah. You're
um,
freaking out.
whatever. So I really went kind of all in on the diet stuff. And I actually felt so much better after just a few weeks of being more like paleo. I had
Okay.
eaten, definitely too much, junk food and processed food before,
Yeah. I was gonna say
even
just
though
cutting
my
that out.
mother, yeah, even though my mother was like thinking more alternatively and feeding us well, I
Yeah.
still wasn't following that all the time. So anyway,
Oh yeah.
I
You're
did that.
14.
I felt way better. Yeah, I felt way, way better. And then what happened was I sort of hit a plateau. So then I got into this idea of elimination diets and getting even
Okay.
stricter. So autoimmune
Mm.
paleo, and even deeper, the gut and psychology syndrome diet, like all this stuff, GAPS, which has become much more popular in recent years. And
Right.
I became obsessed with this stuff to the point where it actually became counterproductive. Like I ended up being so strict that I felt like I was
Oh,
sort of starving myself. And then
this is
I would
stress.
literally go into like a restrictive cycle and then like a sort of binging cycle and restrictive. And it was just a very unhealthy relationship that I developed with the concept of a diet,
right?
Which I think a lot of people end up actually struggling with who really get into diets and so on, and obsessing that food is the thing. Because my perspective now is that it's just one part of the bigger equation. So then at some point when I was really in the thick of the struggle, I came across this other concept from a few different people on the internet, in particular, one a neurosurgeon doctor who was blogging and speaking about the significant role that mitochondria and light play in health. And this was absolutely fascinating because the kind of pitch, I'll say, sounded something like, hey, have you tried every diet and you're still struggling with this or that or the other thing? Well, it's probably because your mitochondria are wrecked. You have all sorts of issues going on in your mitochondria, your cellular metabolism, which are not controlled by the food you're eating. They're controlled by other factors, particularly your light exposure, your circadian rhythm, and so on.
Okay.
And this really struck me. And I thought, wow, maybe I've been looking kind of at the wrong thing, or at least leaning really hard in, leaning a bit too much into something that isn't, it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And so anyway, what happened was I dove into this rabbit hole. Now, this was like my new obsession, right? So it was like obsession to obsession. I dove into this as my obsession then, and I became obsessed with how light affects our health, circadian rhythms, grounding, earthing, ice baths, saunas, blocking EMF. Yeah, all this stuff. But, I definitely took it to an extreme, but it made sense. And it made sense that basically there's so much more underpinning how our cells, for example, mitochondria process our food. And if the mitochondria are damaged, this initial sort of sales pitch, I'll say it was very accurate. If our mitochondria are damaged because we're exposed to artificial light at night, which disrupts the body's release of melatonin, which is how we heal and repair our cells, then we're going to have issues. There are going to be issues that you can't solve no matter how much good food you put into your body. Just like let's say an example of a car, which is driving down the road, blowing black smoke. There's something's wrong with the engine. And the driver says, well, let me go put in premium fuel instead of regular. And they do it, and they drive, and they still have the same issue. And so they go to the mechanic, and they're like, mechanic, what's going on? I upgraded to premium fuel. I even put in some fuel additives. Premium fuel in this case would be healthy food and fuel additives, vitamins and minerals and all that stuff. And the mechanic's like, well, listen, your engine's shot. Your spark plugs are worn out or whatever. And so then they got to fix that. And then the engine runs well, even on regular fuel. Now, that doesn't mean we should always eat just regular food. If you want the engine to run really well, longer, put in premium, right? Yeah. But the cause of the breakdown isn't necessarily the regular gas. It's often something deeper. And in this case, it seems to be very clear that that's the case with human health now. Artificial light, there are many factors. There are a lot of poisons, glyphosate. There's a lot of things going on. The food is poisoned, like especially in the United States, but all over the world too, increasingly. But the artificial light is one very big factor, which is very overlooked. And so that was something I learned. And then naturally, as I this was throughout my years in high school, I read some books about startups and business that I was referred to by a friend through these online Facebook groups. And then I was like, okay, I know something that the rest of the world doesn't know. Surely there's an opportunity here. So I'm going to start a business, doing something in this field. And I just didn't know what the idea was going to be. And it tortured me for about a year and a half. And then finally I wanted to, I thought maybe I'll make light bulbs and maybe I'll do coaching and consulting and be an influencer and blog. And then in this idea of like, I created a blog and I was starting to write some blog posts, and I thought, okay, I'll try to go on a podcast or something. And I listened to this great podcaster, Luke Story, who you probably know of. And he was interviewing one of these experts that I was following in this space. And, I had this pretty clear feeling that the audience wasn't understanding what this high level expert was communicating, even though the message was phenomenal, right? And I just knew from studying it, I could definitely kind of translate it or put it across in a way that people might actually gain something, a broader audience might be able to gain something from. And so I thought, okay. And then I just reached out to this guy, Luke. I actually went and met him at a little event he was doing. And that night, so me trying to get out and spread the information, that night he asked me, hey, where'd you and your buddy, my buddy came with me, where'd you get those cool glasses? Like I know I'm supposed to wear them to block the blue light, but they're all super ugly. And this guy, Luke, was a fashion stylist. He started a fashion styling school. That's why his podcast is called The Life Stylist. Oh my gosh. So he So he said, where'd you get the glasses? And then I realized I had seen an article about how to do the lens tinting yourself. So I actually just thought, you know what, I'll make these for you. And then I realized, oh, probably more people in these communities would want this custom tinting service. So the way I look at that, you know, just kind of sum this up, is that I was asking the universe for the opportunity to share the information that was really inspiring to me and really helped me. And, you know, the vast majority of my health issues kind of faded as I started to dial in my sleep, my circadian rhythm, you know, energize myself. Like, just, I transformed. Like, my hair changed color in a way. Like, I just felt better. I started to be tan. Like, yeah, I mean, my eyes changed color too. Actually, they went from brown to kind of green, but that's a separate conversation. But so basically, anyway, so I just was a different person and really wanted to share this information. And then the universe, I look back on this, you know, I look back on this years later and thought the universe was asking me, okay, you want to share the information, give people the tools for how, you know, how to make it practical. Cause that's what Luke was asking me. How do I get those glasses? And so that's where the business started. And then, you know, okay, that was 8 years ago. So a lot has happened since then. And I've even gone, I would say, further to the belief that, you know, even all the diet and even all the biohacks, as I'll call them now, all the other stuff that helps optimize your mitochondria, even that is, I believe, to some extent meaningless, or just, I would say not meaningless. I'm going to find the right term here.
Maybe not as effective.
Yeah, you know, it could still be effective on a superficial level. But what I want to say is that I think everybody is craving like a deeper feeling of fulfillment and wholeness. And although these things can help your health be better, I think most people, myself at least, with the diet and then with this other biohacking type stuff that, let's say, goes deeper, none of that is capable, in my view, of filling the hole, which I think can only be filled through like a deeper sort of spiritual connection or spirituality, or some sort of deeper purpose, whatever that means for people. And so that was sort of the next evolution of my experience. And I really, really strongly believe that, you know, because I ended up basically doing all the biohacking stuff, feeling better, looking better, my labs and things better, but still struggling mentally like crazy, you know? I was like, well, if my model is complete, that if I know everything like I thought I did as a kind of highly optimistic young, you know, or late teenager at that point, or, you know, just turned 20 or so, if my model is complete, then I should be happy. No, if I understand everything and it's all correct and all these experts I've been following are all right, 100%, then I should be happy. And I looked around at some of the people I was talking to in these different communities. I was like, they don't really seem happy too. They seem really angry, you know? And so that's when things started to really shift for me. And I started realizing there's more to this whole story. And there's something else that I don't know. And I got to figure out what that is. And well, I'll leave it at that. I think I've really made a lot of headway in that direction.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like it's so many questions. We can go so many different directions.
Let's do it. Well, that's the background. So that's the proper story.
That's Thanks so powerful. Asking. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, because it is always something that kind of like the pain to purpose story. And that's what drives you every single day, gets you up out of bed, and, you know, you keep going. But then at the same time, like you said, it's like, it's just an empty hole. Like we can optimize and optimize and optimize. And then it's just going to be completely, it's fine. And we'll feel better. Like you said, you were feeling better, but there was this deeper longing that you're like, okay, there's something a little bit more. I'm missing something, and more money, you know, more supplements isn't going to necessarily solve that. So your glasses are absolutely incredible. And we can dive into kind of, you know, the red, the yellow, and your daylight glasses, but then also kind of how you did shift to more of, yes, this is incredible product, but then like more of like the awakening behind it and your true purpose now.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, do you want to talk about the 3 different lenses, or go into a little bit more about?
I'm happy to discuss anything. I mean, yeah, I can talk about the products all day long. It just depends what direction you want to go.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, let's just give people an overview of the 3 different lenses. And I know you have you have a partnership with Andrei Rublev at the tennis star. It's incredible. And then anything else new, like up and coming too, just so people can really understand, like if they don't have your lenses, or, you know, the purpose behind them.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Raw Optics, our mission, especially as I've evolved, the company has evolved, it's to create products that help people realize their own unlimited potential, particularly using the science of light. So my experience showed me that light is an extremely powerful tool. It's very directly connected to our consciousness. And by modifying the light we're exposed to in different ways, with eyewear, but also with lighting products, we can really change the quality of our consciousness, the way we feel, the way we think, and so on.
At a deeper mitochondrial level.
And how our body works as well.
Okay.
Yes, very much so. That's a sort of very significant downstream effect of using these products. And so basically the main purpose of blue light blocking glasses is to block or filter's a better term, light which causes undesirable disturbances and effects on our physiology,
right.
or to, let's say, harmonize light in a way that makes it more suitable or less harmful to our body. And so when we lived in nature under full spectrum sunlight, this was the natural light source. And depending on the conditions, it was pretty good for us for the most part. It drove and positively affected evolution and so on. It kind of created a framework for biochemistry to occur inside of, and so on. And in the environments in which humans and let's say our primate predecessors evolved for tens of millions or more of years,
right,
they're chlorophyll-rich, green-dominated environments with plants.
Yeah.
And so this creates a very particular light spectrum, which our eyes are optimized for, and our mitochondria are also optimized for, and our bodies are essentially optimized for. As soon as you get into environments like water, sand, snow, humans they went to great extents to protect themselves with clothing which covers their whole body except their eyes, for example.
Yep.
The Inuits had goggles carved out of snow to prevent snow blindness with small slits.
Crazy.
And so on. So it was generally known that in certain environments, the sun can be a threat. And, they used to tie people as a form of evil, painful execution. They would tie people to the tops of towers and just let them die in the hot sun.
Crazy.
So people knew that the sun was both, in a way, our friend. It increased crop yields when it was a sunny summer and so on, but also that we had to take care of our exposure to sunlight. So in general, though, when we lived under sunlight, our body, there was a certain kind of confine within which things existed. And for example, you couldn't disrupt your body's circadian rhythm with artificial light when the only source of light was the sun, and fire doesn't have the blue light, which is powerful enough to activate the cells in our eye. So anyway, to cut to the chase, when we moved in this indoor artificially lit environment, we gained this ability to sort of unnaturally, or at least stimulate our body's hormonal system in a way that was out of sync with the environment in which we evolved. And we need the period of darkness in order to release melatonin to sleep properly and rest and reset our cells, for example. And so with artificial light, we were able to extend worker hours and worker productivity and all sorts of things. And basically confine people into these buildings under larger buildings with more floor space, without access to windows and natural light, but under artificial lights, which basically feign daylight and trick us into thinking there's actually enough light to see. Artificially lit indoor environments typically don't even reach beyond 500 lux, whereas even the grayest, cloudiest day outside is going to be somewhere like 5,000 lux, 5,000, 10,000 lux. A sunny summer day, 50,000 to 100,000 lux. So we're in these environments which some of the authors in the field of light and light therapy called malillumination, or malilluminated environments. So like malnutrition, malillumination. And even though the light intensities are so low, the spectral distribution is completely out of whack. So there's significantly more blue light, none of the healing and regenerative near infrared and deep red light. So we basically have created an environment which isn't an intense enough light to properly wake up and stimulate our system to its fullest activity, but enough to kind of trick the brain to a sort of imbalanced state where we are producing, a not optimal level of cortisol. We're getting physical damage to our retina because there's more blue light without the balance of near infrared. So that's just kind of summing it up. And that's even just during the day in an indoor environment. At night, the real issue is that we have the artificial light with blue light now, especially from blue enriched LEDs and screens, which are everywhere. And that's literally tricking the brain into thinking it's still daytime. So the brain doesn't release melatonin. And then
Yeah.
people don't fall asleep naturally and easily. And so what do people, what is the effect of this? I realized at one point in the business journey that my real competition isn't the blue blocking glasses company down the street or whatever.
Yeah.
With our sunset lenses, the real competition are the things people use to take the edge off at the end of the day because their nervous system's all jacked up.
Good point.
Alcohol, drugs, cannabis, and all sorts of other substances that people get, prescription medications and so on, that they become addicted to, because they need it. And then with the daylight lenses, which kind of help relax the eyes during the day when you're on a screen and so on, the kind of competition is people taking Advil or maybe a third cup of coffee because they're jacked and then they crash, maybe excessive sugar consumption, whatever. So I think that should give people the best idea of is the daylight and the sunset lenses. Basically, the daylight lenses are for daytime use in an indoor environment to protect two main functions. One, retinal health, so protecting the eyes from this excessive blue light, and two, the hormonal system, the hormonal overstimulation that comes from this blue enriched LED light that we're now living under chronically. And the lenses just block that light and essentially take the edge off. And so what happens is people's stress levels are reduced, eye strain and headaches and the dry eyes and these types of things are also reduced. And we have people who got migraines every day for years that stop as soon as they put on these glasses within sometimes even just a day or a couple of days.
Amazing.
That's the daylight lenses. The sunset lenses, the more deep orange red lenses, these, as I shared, they help people to relax naturally in the evening, to fall asleep more easily, sleep more deeply without waking up as much throughout the night or at all, and stay asleep. And so that's what the sunset lenses do. And then you wake up obviously more refreshed, earlier, feeling better brain function. So I'm inclined to start calling our products performance enhancing eyewear more than blue light blocking glasses, because it doesn't exactly tell you what they do. It tells you what they block, but it doesn't tell you what they do for you fully. So that's the direction. And then we recently, with our scientific advisor, he's the top expert in the world in the field of how light affects health, based out of Germany. We developed a lens called BlueSync, which is the world's first lens. It's designed for morning and daytime use, primarily outdoors, whereas these lenses are primarily designed for indoor use and artificial lights. Although you can use them outdoors as a sunglass if you like the effects. They do have superior sun protection to a lot of regular sunglasses because they block UVA, UVB, and blue light, which is a range that most sunglasses actually neglect, which can still be damaging over extended long periods of exposure, even from the sun. But anyway, all that's to say, in these more unnatural or non-chlorophyll rich green environments like what we evolved in, whether you're in a city with asphalt, concrete, glass, and all these type metal, these are really reflective, unnatural, artificial environments, cities, because they're reflecting far more UV, short wavelength light, and less of the healing and regenerative light. But it's similar to the effects on sand, snow, water, etc.
So cool.
Anyways, so BlueSync basically allows you to protect your eyes from the more damaging short wavelengths of light, UVA, UVB, and HEVL, which is basically blue light, while transmitting the part of the blue light which activates our circadian rhythm. So we're cutting out the short wavelength blue light, which can be more damaging, like UVA, but transmitting all of the long wavelength blue light. And the reason this is revolutionary is because almost all sunglass lenses, all the ones I've tested, they reduce the whole visible light spectrum. What does this mean? They weaken the circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm has two phases. There's day and night, and we want to strengthen the amplitude of both phases, which means more bright natural light during day and less artificial light at night. So more darkness at night. And so all sunglasses, or almost all sunglasses, the ones I've tested, they reduce the circadian activation of daylight. They weaken this effect. So they basically tell the brain it's still night. You shouldn't use them. They tell the brain it's like not exactly night, but you're not getting the full activation of your system. BlueSync is the first lens ever which doesn't do that. In other words, it allows through the light, which activates through them. So it's intelligent sun protection. It's literally genius. It wasn't my idea. It was our scientific advisor's idea. And every sunglass company in the world is going to copy this 100 million%. But it's cool because we did it first. And it's unbelievable. And it's such a pleasant lens. You wear it, you have such strong visual relief with such a strong feeling of clarity and energy. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, we sold out of our first order extremely quickly. We've been sold out for like 4 months. So the next ones are coming in this week, thank God. So BlueSync was a revolutionary lens, literally changing the world. We have more coming. But anyway, so BlueSync increases energy, focus, mood, motivation, productivity by basically selectively on a relative basis amplifying the blue light wavelengths that are responsible for strengthening the circadian rhythm during daytime. So the ideal combo is go out in the morning and get unfiltered morning, early morning sunlight like sunrise. Then you throw blue sync on if you're going to be outside, or if you're even inside. Its effects are going to be strongest if you're close to a window, close to natural bright daylight, because the more blue light, the stronger the effect's going to be. This is the good blue light, we'll call it the circadian blue, rather than the reactive oxygen species inducing part of the blue spectrum, which is the shorter wavelength blue, closer to. So basically below 450 nanometers is more concerning. Above 450 nanometers is very beneficial during daytime, not at nighttime, because then it's disrupting our system. So blue sync has all these effects. So you have blue sync then throughout morning and daytime if you're outdoors and you want activation. Now, if you're indoors under artificial light for 8 hours, I wouldn't wear blue sync for 8 hours straight. You'll probably want to take them off because you start to feel kind of wired, just like you wouldn't drink coffee all day long. So then you'd switch to the yellow lenses when you're indoors for extended hours, so that you basically balance out. So your mood, your energy is consistent and balanced. You're not being jacked up. You're not being put down like the sunset lenses do. You're kind of able to stay balanced, energized, focused, with your mood kind of elevated up, right? And then what happens is sunset lenses, the sun sets. Once the sun sets, it's time to wind down in the evening. You put on the sunset lenses and you're able to start winding down and falling asleep and sleep deeply and repeat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's the light diet, basically.
That's I would say, how to use raw optics products within the light diet. The light diet's much broader than just that.
Okay.
But that's kind of how to use the lenses within the context of the light diet. Yes, the light diet has more to it. I mean, watch the sunrise, practice sunbathing. I didn't mention sunbathing. The light diet includes going barefoot on the earth, and includes not drinking chlorinated, fluoridated city water. It includes eating with the sun, meaning not eating massive meals late at night. Ben and I have spoken about this. He likes the dinner, and I understand that culturally with family, and there's a lot of value to that. But from the podcast I did on his show years ago, is like the first thing was best time to eat a cheat meal. The science of light dictates that the best time is midday, because, and this is what traditional Chinese medicine and traditional Indian Ayurvedic medicine all say, is midday is when our metabolism, our metabolic fire, our pitta, sun energy is at its peak. In the Chinese medicine, I believe it's lung time is the middle of the day. And that's the time when we can burn through the food most effectively with the least production of, toxic byproducts, which happens always when we consume food. There's always some sort of, generally speaking, there's always something suboptimal. The burning's not always 100% clean, just like a car engine. So we burn cleaner, we make the most of our food. You're spending a ton of money on healthy food. Wouldn't you want to eat it when you're going to get the most out of it? Because you're not getting the most out of it after 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening. You're going to get the most out of it midday when you're really hungry and your metabolism's active. So these are some key elements of the light diet. Winding down, sleeping with the sun, minimizing electromagnetic radiation exposure, leveraging things like cold and hot therapy, ice baths and saunas, leveraging red light therapy and other therapeutic lighting, situations, a lot of which we're working on as well. You asked about what else we're doing as a company. We have lighting products in the works, light therapy products in the works, the best in the world. We've looked at what other companies have done, where they've done well, where they haven't, and we're creating something much better on all fronts. So very exciting stuff.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. You guys are always on like the cutting edge of everything coming, but I love your approach, especially with the light diet. And it is really just about getting back to nature, back to how our bodies were designed and made to live in this world. And now we are a part of this incredible world, but we need to be able to live in this world that has all of this technology and all of these gadgets and things at our fingertips, but be able to live beautifully within this world without it disrupting our biology. So thank you for that.
Agreed. Yeah.
So for somebody who, say, lives in a northern climate, obviously the sun's not going to go down till like 10 o'clock, and they don't, they want to go to bed earlier. Would you recommend they put their red glasses on sooner when they're ready to stimulate melatonin?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I was in Estonia this summer, and it was light until 1 a.m. It was light all night, actually. So I would do that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But in general, I have to say, like, even in those kinds of places, even if the day is so long, like the body gets tired after, 16 hours or so. So I found myself still getting tired. And even though the sun was still up and, it's this kind of like beautiful, like dusk energy, I felt that somehow that's very natural. And dusk sort of signals this transition time. True. It signals that it's time to wind down to the brain. So I actually found myself still getting kind of tired, around 10 or 11, let's say, with the light still, much brighter than you'd expect anywhere else at 10 or 11. But the real issue is when you start turning on all the artificial lights indoors.
Yes.
So I would say in these northerly places, you don't even necessarily need the glasses, although you
Okay.
can use them to try to get, if you want to go to sleep at like 8 or 9, because you have to get up for work the next day at 6 or
Right.
7 or like even earlier. But the real issue is the artificial lights. When they all start coming on, that's when, like that, if I'm just comparing in my head, the beautiful light sky kind of dusk energy at 10 p.m. in Estonia in the middle of the summer versus like I'm in the kitchen and all the bright lights are on, it's much brighter and more unnatural feeling in that kitchen. Because then if, as long as you don't turn all the lights on, which is what I never turn the lights on, I walk around everywhere with the red light headlamp. Actually, I probably should be selling this. I probably should have been selling this for the last 7 years. But it's the thing is, I'm pretty weird. Like most people aren't going to do this, but maybe they would. Let's see. I'll see if I can find it. But I have it. I think I have it because I'm on a flight, so I use it to read. I use this to read instead of the LED light that they have above me. So this is what I look like when I'm home alone, and all my friends and everybody I know, ex-girlfriends, everybody can attest to this. I walk around like this. It's like I'm always camping. So I just walk around. This is on Amazon for, I mean, it's hard to compete with a $10 thing on Amazon. We totally could. Well, the thing is, like with raw optics, my goal isn't just to monetize every little trinket that we possibly could, because that's what some of the brands in the space have done. It's to create things that are actually like really meaningful and revolutionary. And most people I've learned from crowdsourcing, they laugh at me. They're not going to wear a headlight around, although some will, because it's super, super effective. There's no light anywhere except where you walk and where you look. The light follows you. I'm crippled when I don't have my headlight. Like literally, it dies. I had 2. I lost one. I just have 1 right now. Like if it dies, I'm screwed. I refuse to turn the lights on. It's literally you'd think I'm disabled if you saw me in the evening without my red light headlamp, because like I won't turn the lights on and I will just fumble around in the dark. Maybe what I'll do is turn on my phone light just temporarily, but that's super bright and annoying.
Like really see something.
I'm kind of an extremist.
What time day do you put that on, or evening time?
Once it's dark, and if I need to just do anything in the dark, I mean, I try to just go to sleep once it gets dark, so that's ideal.
So I mean, I think you guys should invent something like that, because everything that you do, it's always like, it looks good. Like even when it comes down to your cases, the way that you guys do everything. So you can make a very stylish headlamp, I bet.
I totally will. Yeah, no, we're going to do it. I just got to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to take that and run with it.
Because Amazon, it's like a cheap version, but you will make it stylish and look really good.
I'll make it beautiful, and it'll be amazing.
I know you will.
It'll be like leather or something.
Totally. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay. So then also, if somebody does have to get up super early and it is still dark, should they still put the red light
Definitely
glasses
keep
back
the sunset lenses on. Yes, 100%.
Okay, perfect.
100 million %.
I love that. I started incorporating all of your tips. I had the red light glasses probably a year prior to I met you, but then the yellow glasses I got just this last spring, and they do definitely help with fatigue, headaches, because I am behind a screen quite a bit throughout the day. So it just really helps with that eye fatigue. And I would get dry eye, all of those things. So thank you for creating that. I'm grateful.
My pleasure. I'm so glad you're enjoying it.
My next is to get the sunglasses though. So that's the blue sync. I want to get those next.
Amazing.
Because I know people talk about all the time, like, don't wear sunglasses outside, but at the same time, you still want to look like stylish and cute, right? So I need to get yours. So
and we're talking about stylish and cute. Like all of our frames are going to be seeing a very, very big change in the within the next year. So we have some really, really exciting developments coming. Proof of concept is long, long over. We're well past that. People love our products. We have a top person in almost every sport and every industry using our products. We have, from Aaron Rodgers in the NFL to, Devin Booker in the NBA wearing them while he's walking through the tunnel into events or to match games. Pardon me. I forget what do they even call basketball? I don't live in the US, so I forget, basketball games. We have baseball players, Bryce Harper, like literally a top person in every field, top hockey players, top European, one of the best European soccer players in the world. He was just on the cover of Time magazine today. Erling Haaland, he's a friend of mine. He's been using our glasses for years. Cheeto Vera in the UFC. Rick Rubin, the music producer. Cool. Zac Efron, actor. Like so many people. So it's a beautiful thing. It's clear that the world wants this. Like the people who set the trends are on this. Yeah. And the world wants eyewear that isn't just purely fashion and vanity and basically just minimum kind of, I wouldn't even say minimum effective dose, because sunglasses aren't even effective. They're harmful, actually.
They're harmful. Yeah.
They're harmful to your circadian rhythm. They don't actually provide enough protection from the most concerning from other concerning wavelengths of light. They block UVA, UVB, but they don't really address HEVL in a lot of cases to the max extent. So the short wavelength blue light I commented on. So yeah, we're the fashion, the need for fashion has been heard loud and clear, and we are taking it very seriously. I can assure you of that.
Good. Yay. Well, I cannot wait to see the new lenses, because I know they're going to be the best. So cool. Yeah. If somebody is just a little bit overwhelmed, like, where do I start? What would be the first domino that you would knock out for them?
I would say set an alarm tomorrow morning to wake up before the sun comes up and go watch the sunrise for 10 to 15 minutes, as close as you can to when it comes over the horizon. And if it's high up in the sky, don't look at it directly. Like if it comes over a building or mountains or trees, you know, and you don't have a good horizon, don't look at it directly. But if it's really like on the horizon, like an ocean, you could look at it, but only if it feels very comfortable for you. I don't want anyone blaming me because they burned their retina. So proceed with caution.
Exactly.
You know, if it doesn't feel comfortable, then don't do it. But plenty of people look at the sun for 10, 20 minutes in the morning, consistently, or the evening at sunset. So watch the sunrise, watch the sunset. And if you had to start with one lens type, I would get sunset lenses and wear them from the time the sun sets and it gets dark until the time you go to sleep. And it will change your life. Your life will be transformed. If you want to add more to that, get daylight lenses and wear them when you're indoors or in an airport or on a screen for extended hours, and feel how that changes your life as far as reducing eye strain and headaches. Again, especially if you're in an office. Like if you're on a screen, you can download Flux and Iris and these other softwares on your computer. What they do is they change the color a lot. The lenses are great because they have the maximum amount of blue light protection with the minimum amount of color distortion. We've spent a lot of time optimizing them for that. As soon as you start changing the color of the screen, it starts looking pretty funky. So, and the brain doesn't register the, let's say, change in color as well as with the lenses. So it just stays very yellow. Whereas with the lenses, your eyes just adjust. And you kind of, the brain adapts. So that's a benefit, but especially in an office where you can't put a software on your lights above or any airport or any mall, like where I'm traveling all the time. Anyway, so that's what I would do. Add the daylight lenses, and I would add, or even this is a beginner stuff, but stop eating big, heavy dinner late at night. And start make lunch your biggest meal instead of dinner, and make dinner a light supper, a light snack, something that's easy to digest, not raw, something cooked but easy to digest, not a big heavy steak, whatever, soup, I don't know, cooked vegetables. I mean, dinner is not really necessary. If you eat a big lunch, lunch can be the main meal of the day. But okay, people want to eat dinner, so anyway, that's just something. If you're gonna eat whatever you're gonna eat, if you're gonna eat a big heavy meal, then just try to eat it at like 4 or 5 and not 7 or 8. That literally make a crazy difference for most people.
For sure.
So those would be like the first intro steps: sunrise, sunset, and sunset lenses. Level 1. Level 2, daylight lenses, and don't eat a late meal. I would consider adding blue sync if you want to. Blue sync is just like, it's hard to say which lens I like more of all 3 of ours, because like blue sync is now my temporary favorite because it's so pleasant when I'm out in bright sunlight, because I know I'm getting protection from the most damaging wavelengths. I'm getting an increase in stimulation from the most beneficial circadian activating wavelengths, and they transmit all the healing, regenerative red and near infrared wavelengths. So they're letting through all the good stuff. So I love them so much. And the sunset lenses, like I had a friend at one point, we were driving in the car early in the morning, coming back from a trip in Mexico. And she said to me, she's like, I literally can't believe that anybody lives without these. Like just oncoming headlights while it was still dark early in the morning, because we had to get to the Tijuana border before it was like gangbusters. And so we woke up really early to drive there. And she was like, she's like, as soon as I take them off, it's like, oh my God, like my eyes actually hurt, and it's so unpleasant. And most people like don't just sit there in the car in the morning and the evening with their eyes closed. They're just absorbing all the blue light. And it's just terrible when you realize how great it is to have our lenses on. So basically, take it or leave it. I mean, we offer, we're super confident in the products, as you can tell. Like we offer a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, a month. If you don't like them, you have a month. That's a long time. Like if you don't like them, send them back. We'll give you a full refund. So that's how we operate.
Well, and I love that like it's you're going to notice a game changer, even just like you said with step one, like the red light glasses and syncing your time with circadian rhythm, like sunrise, sunset. Like you're going to sleep so much better. You're going to notice the
100%.
difference. Like I notice a huge difference if I'm at someone's place or a hotel, or I was like, oh my gosh, these lights are literally like hurting me. It's like
Yeah.
I need my glasses. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you got to take them with you everywhere. And our new
yeah,
Rublev frame. So this is the frame we
that's,
developed and designed with Andrei Rublev, the tennis
those are
player, and
cool.
it's just absolutely gorgeous,
I like those,
super
Matt.
simple. It's just the quality is impeccable. It's
Yep.
unbelievable, and we're just so stoked. And really, this is
Mm,
more the direction we're going to be going as well with our
love
core
it.
styles as well. So we're stoked, and
I'm excited.
yeah,
And people can do prescription, right? If they
yeah,
have
we offer
prescriptions.
prescription in the daylight and the sunset lenses, and we don't have prescription available in Blue Sync, although we have an option for people with prescription who want prescription with Blue Sync coming soon, in the form of kind of like it's not a clip on, but it's kind of like a clip on, but that'll come soon when it comes,
Okay.
so they can
Yes.
add it.
And maybe a headlamp.
Yeah,
A
potentially a headlamp.
stylish one.
I'm on the fence about that. I didn't just want to do glasses and headlamps, although it could have been an interesting idea. But you know,
Yeah,
the light bulbs, and these types of things are going to be very, very effective
that's
for people.
cool.
And we have the best LEDs in the entire world that we've developed, and
Yeah,
so it's very
yeah.
exciting. A lot of companies just took like the off the shelf Alibaba yellow and red light bulbs and started selling them, and
Yep.
as although that's a bit better than the current situation, it's not optimal, and we want to go for something that's really scalable, so
For
and
sure.
helpful for the world.
Exactly. Yeah. And just continue to live in this amazing world that we have. And we have all these incredible things. So, like I said, it's like living beautifully in the world. So, well, thank you again for the amazing products that you put out there.
Thank
I do have
you.
a question though. If you, so taking us back to like who you were back then when you had all of those gut issues, feeling inflamed and a bit broken, possibly, what would you say to your younger version now? Like,
Hmm. I would say just keep doing what you're doing because you're
yeah,
gonna
you were on
figure
the
it
right
out.
track.
Yeah, you're gonna figure it out. You got this, so it's all gonna work out fine. So just
Totally.
keep on charging ahead and try to enjoy the process. As
Enjoy
cliche
it.
as that sounds, there's a lot of truth in cliches. I think the difference is that, like with the cliches, it's actually just applying it or not. Like there's a
True.
lot of great sayings and that people repeat them, but it's like, do you apply them or not? And
Hmm.
that's the difference. Is theory versus application.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Because they do seem cheesy at first, like when we hear all these cliches, but apply it, like try it and see how it works out. Enjoy the process because yeah, you it was like trial and error a little bit, or like kind of going down a different route. And like you said, like getting like burnt out and stressed and like, no, this is not the direction. I don't need to go all in on the diet part of it. And then, it just led you down that whole other path and journey, and it all happened for a reason. So
Yeah, and it's hard to enjoy the process when you're stuck in stress and survival and don't know any other way. And
mhm,
that's why, to me, a sort of more spiritual approach, like the just having, I'm not here to tell anybody what spiritual approach to take in their life, whether what religion or what meditation or whatever. But I would wager, and there must be data on this, but I would wager that anybody who has the belief in like a higher power or some sort of higher force is
right.
going to be like way infinitely happier than somebody who doesn't, because otherwise, like,
Amen.
you're here for nothing, hedonism, and then you
Yeah.
die and it's over. Versus like there is, something to fight for here, something that is worth like leaning towards, and something that's worth leaning away from, let's say, or even running away
Mm,
from.
true. Yeah.
And like I just watched a great movie on the flight. It was like King Arthur, I think, something like
Oh,
that.
cool.
And
Yeah.
this like Legend of the Sword. I was on this flight. I actually rarely like even let myself watch movies on flights because I'm a workaholic, and so I just work. But so it was like a real treat, to just relax and watch a movie, to be honest. And it just reminded me, like all the great movies, Harry Potter, Star Wars, you name it, like where there's a good and
Mhm.
evil. It's like, to me, that's like the human, that's like there's a sort of spiritual battle, I feel like, that's
Yeah,
actually happening in our world.
there is. Yep.
And even though, if we get into like our day-to-day lives, it just seems maybe it's sometimes life can maybe feel monotonous for people, or just
Mhm.
like whatever. It's just like I do my things, and like there's not much else going on. But like, I actually do believe at a subtle level, there is this spiritual battle that goes on every day, and we're all in a way fighting it or participating in it, whether we like it or not, or whether we're aware of it or not. And we get to make decisions that, you know, either support the one side, the good, the virtuous, the high, etc., and or we can make decisions that support the other side.
True.
And I feel like it's, for my younger self, like, as much as I could say, yeah, you know, you're going to figure it out, it'll work out, until I came to the point that I realized that I would say have the choice to choose how I live and how I experience the world. I would feel sort of powerless or
empty.
Yeah, empty for sure, but also just like powerless and constantly at the mercy of whatever happens to me that day or that week or that month, versus having a concept that I can change my perspective. You know, we could say this from a very plain neuroscience perspective. Like, you choose the lens through which you view reality. You can choose to see everything as an obstacle, or you can choose to see the obstacle as the way, as the Stoics, right?
Yeah.
Or you could put it from a more spiritual, religious perspective. Like, you know, I choose to believe that, you know, God is real and God is watching out for me, and I'm going to not be envious. I'm going to be grateful. I'm not going to be fearful. I'm going to be loving. You know, like, I think a lot of the time life just comes down to two basic decisions. Somebody very wise said this to me at one point. You know, we have two choices at every point in our life: love or fear. Or put it another way, we have the option to always keep our heart open or to close. And literally, like, every decision, every situation can be simplified down to that. And for me, that's been so helpful, because for such a long time, I felt like I had to do, and this is the world of the biohacker and the health nut. Like, you have to do all these things, and I have to do this diet for a year, and then I'm going to heal. And I have to, like, do all this stuff to be okay. And I can't be okay. I can't let myself be okay until I've gone obsessive on this for 6 months and read all these books and whatever.
Right.
And the idea that I could just relax and just actually let myself be okay, be happy, be calm, be at peace in this present moment, no matter how I feel. Like, I do this when I'm sick and struggling and miserable. Like, you can choose if you're going to be miserable or not. Like, the circumstances, this is what all the wise people and all the books basically say. It's, again, back to that concept of cliches. It's like, you can hear this a million times, but it's like, do you actually do anything about it? Like, when I'm sick, if I get sick, which isn't that often, fortunately, but sometimes it happens. You know, I'm going to Bali. It often happens when I'm in Bali. I don't know why, because there's a lot of things going on. I don't know what's going on there, but lots of, it's hot, tropical, you know, moisture, rich with whatever is I don't know, but maybe it's just because the huge flight beforehand, my body's more vulnerable. So I'm dosing up on my immune supplements beforehand. But more importantly, I believe in the mental concept. But anyway, in times where I've been like unwell, I still just try to like relax and breathe and enjoy. And the funny thing is, for me, this is suboptimal actually, but that it is this way. But I actually enjoy sometimes that break, because I push myself so hard when I'm well. And then it reminds me, like, oh, when I'm well, like, I don't just have to push myself so hard. Like, I can actually just chill out and enjoy being well. Enjoy being healthy. So these are some of like my thought processes around this topic, and, you know, going back to my younger self and
oh my gosh. So many nuggets and takeaways right there, Matt. I can't, like, so good.
Thanks,
so
Carrie.
I like how you talked about sickness though too, because it is our body's way. I'm kind of like that achiever, go. I do work on planes as well too, just to kind of like get things done. But just taking it as your body is literally trying to tell you, just let's slow down, let's take a beat. You're going pretty dang fast. So it's okay. And just acknowledge that, not fight it, and just take a moment to rest. But then at the same time, being grateful for the times when we are hustling and going after it, because our body and our brain is able to do that, and just the gratitude that surrounds it. So mindset, so good. So good. Okay. So Matt, I want to be very mindful of your time, and I would love to just do a couple fun little rapid fire questions for you.
Easy. Great.
Okay. What is a wellness habit that you never skip other than your glasses? or light?
I would say meditating, but I do skip it sometimes, though, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
But I try not to skip it.
Right.
And when I skip it, I'm not as good as when I don't skip it. I'm better when I do it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. I mean,
clearer, I'm more thoughtful, I'm more calm, I'm
mm,
more conscious, I'm more aware. Even when I don't think it, I am. I've noticed it many times.
yeah. Yeah. And we're not robots. We can't, exactly always control our schedule. And so we don't always get a chance to fit in every single thing we want to do. But so when you do the most of the time, are you evening meditator,
I
morning,
try to meditate in the morning, but
morning?
I naturally meditate a lot throughout the day. Just like I
Mm.
close my eyes and just breathe and just try to like remember all the things that I was just saying to you. Like I can choose how I'm like, you know, I have a great story for you. I bought this silk shirt. I really love it.
Yeah.
I've done so many times. I've done the dumbest thing. I give it to people who say, "Oh yeah, we'll take good care of it," like laundry people, and I've had really nice things destroyed. So I looked at the shirt and I was like one of the lines or some of the like the detailing around some of the whatever after I gave it to these people who said they don't have dry cleaning, but they're like, we'll only wash it if we're confident. So I was like, all right, I'll trust you. I shouldn't have
Right.
trusted. And
Oh,
I
no.
think they must have used either some detergent or a hot warm wash, which caused a little bit of a reduction in the sort of, you can't really see it here. It's more on some of the around these trees on this pattern, but anyway, very subtle. Most people
Yeah.
would never even notice, but I noticed because like I bought it and it like popped for me,
Yeah.
and the pop kind of dissipated a little bit, ever so
Okay.
maybe like 5 or 10%. But it
Yeah.
really bothered me because I'm like, I bought an expensive silk shirt and and I was like, I actually noticed myself, and I was actually a bit tired. I stayed a bit too late, so I've become quite conscious of my energy and like when I'm tired. When you're tired, your brain starts to tell you all sorts of stories of how everything's a mess. And so I was like aware, okay, I'm tired, and like did it, and my brain's like, and I was like actually feeling like kind of down and like dumb, like I got this expensive shirt, and then like
Yeah.
I gave it to some whatever to wash, and like it's never going to be able to be fixed, or
Right.
okay, I asked ChatGPT, maybe there's some people specialists who can do some fixing upping, but and it's such a minor thing, right? But I was like really actually affected for like I don't know, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour,
That's a pretty long time. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it is. I mean, but the difference isn't in my past life. That would have
Okay.
been not necessarily about this type of issue, although it could have been, but it could have been days. Some issue for
Interesting.
people, it's like often days. For many people, it's years. They never let
Oh,
go of
yeah.
something.
So
So I
true.
just like, am I really gonna let a shirt bring me down? Like, am I really like?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money, whatever. Am I really
Mm.
gonna do that? Like, do I really want to do that today? Is that how I want to spend my day? I mean,
Right.
this is just like a really actually a very tangible example.
Yeah.
And it's it could be like something somebody said to you or something I did that I felt like was a mistake, and then I'm beating myself up about it. And it's just like, of course, if you do something wrong, you got to make it right and apologize and do it. But like, how long am I gonna like beat myself up about that for? So that I see a cute dog, a fluffy creature in the back. Wow, that is
He's
awesome.
my big fluffy Bernedoodle.
So yeah. Anyway, for me, this is something that I try to break those patterns anytime I notice I'm out of, like, I think in my world it is a bit black or white. It's like either I see things clearly or at least in a positive light, or I don't, and I want to see things clearly. Like I want to be stoked. There's varying degrees of like how stoked and clear, but like there's sort of a line where it's like I'm not or I am. And
Yeah.
I want to be in a world where like I'm excited and thrilled that I'm at, life's amazing. Like, I mean, everybody has their
Amen.
challenges and whatnot. Like I have challenges, even though from the surface, externally looking, like my life is amazing. Many people say I'm traveling constantly. I run a business. I have a lot of freedom. I'm very fortunate in that respect. I'm sitting in like a glass airport with the most beautiful garden area outside right now.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Qatar.
amazing to be alive. In Qatar, on the way to Bali, like it's amazing to be human. Like life is
Yeah.
actually miraculous. And it's like, why don't we live in, this sounds so cliche, but it's like, why don't we live in awe? Like, why aren't we constantly stoked about the miracle and magic of life? Even if we don't even know what this is. We don't even know what we're doing here. At least I don't. Some people claim they do, but so it's like that's something for me. So yeah, I meditate definitely in the morning,
Yeah.
sometimes in the evening before bed, and often regularly throughout the day, even for 2 minutes. It
Oh
just
my
means
gosh.
closing my eyes and breathing slowly and trying
Yeah.
to reset.
Yeah, I love that too. For me as well, it's taking a moment when I notice like my nervous system is
I'll
like,
see.
okay, yeah, you can show around.
Show you
Oh
the
yeah,
this beautiful airport. So this is
that
like,
is amazing.
isn't that cool?
That is so cool.
Isn't that great? It's like
Wow.
it's a full
It's
like
like,
a forest inside the airport.
yeah, that's
So
how all
anyway,
airports should be. So we
I
can
know
actually
these
like be a
Middle
little bit.
Eastern countries are on the next level. Yeah, it's
They are.
actually unbelievable.
Yeah, with all the plants and like you were talking about, just yeah, that's how our bodies are supposed to be surrounded by all that. So
They know. Yeah, it's way
they
better than just
do.
having a bunch of glass and concrete.
Oh,
They figured
they
it out.
do.
They don't know
They really
why,
do.
but they know that it feels good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man. Okay. Matt, you were, yeah, you're next level. I
We can
love
do more
talking with
rapid fire.
you.
If you want to do another rapid fire, I'll try to be more rapid fire on it.
Oh
Is
no,
there any
no.
other
I mean,
one?
goodness, I love it. Okay, so recent book, song, or quote that lit something up in you.
Mm. I'll just say I just mentioned the movie King Arthur, The
Yeah,
Legend of the Sword or whatever. That was really inspiring. Just like reiterating, reaffirming this concept that like there really is a battle between good and evil and like righteousness and non-righteousness, let's say,
yep.
that is really, I think, really real in this world and in our lives. And it just inspired me to just look at myself and how I can just step up more into like, let's say the king archetype as in that movie, like
Yep.
doing the right thing no matter what. And
True.
that's really inspiring. So that's one. And then book, I just started reading this book called Jesus, a Pilgrimage. So speaking of, to the
Okay.
the
Yeah.
the, the Christian audience, and I would say I'm Christian, but maybe not traditional sense because I kind of really love all religions and
Yeah.
feel a part of many religions, to be honest. But I very much believe in Christ and
Yep.
Jesus
Me
and
too.
the much or all of the beliefs and dogma of Christianity. But all that's to say, with that being said, this book is interesting because I just want to learn more about Jesus, the
Mm,
man of Jesus,
yes.
and this it's a cool book where this one Jesuit priest basically goes and takes a pilgrimage and walks the streets where Jesus was and makes really interesting commentary and observations and stuff and tries to make Jesus like more personable or real, the man part of Jesus, the human
Right.
side of Jesus. And I found that I haven't finished the book. I've actually only just started, but it already
Yeah.
started to touch me as just some really great insights and interesting
Right.
wisdom. So yeah.
Yeah, oh, I'll have to read that one. Yeah, because he was fully God and fully man at the same time. So he did experience every single thing and emotion, pain, everything that we experience as a human, just
And
in
this
God form,
except sin is the one thing that this
except for
author
sin.
pointed out, which is
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, the only human that was sinless. So yeah, I'm gonna have to check that book out. That sounds, yeah,
Yeah,
spot
it's by
on for what I would like to
James
do.
Martin. It's called Jesus, a Pilgrimage,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Is that a newer book? Do you know?
It's from 2016, and it
Okay.
apparently was a New York Times bestseller and the winner
Okay,
of the
cool.
2015 Catholic Press Association Book Award. So
Oh
I
wow.
guess it has a decent readership already, but
I'm sure.
really, really solid.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I definitely have to add that to cart for my
Yeah,
Amazon
for
wish list.
sure. I think you'd
Love
really
that.
like it.
I
Really
would.
cool story of how the trip
Mm,
it just came together for him. Like divinely. It was really cool.
so
So
cool. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then just lastly, just where people can find you. I know we have a discount code with Ben. And just continue to learn from you too, because it's not just about the lenses. It's like so much more than that, Matt. So
yeah. So people can find me on the on Instagram at the Light Diet and also X at the Light Diet. So that would be the place. I'm not really active on like Telegram and these types of things, but I have a Telegram channel, the Light Diet. If people want to follow me, maybe I'll
yeah.
start sharing thoughts there. But mainly Instagram and X, and I've started to post a lot more on Instagram actually recently, some videos and
Cool.
types of things, just talking about my life and things I do because I realize
Mm,
I do a lot of cool stuff and I almost never post about it. So
you do.
that's one thing. And then for the company, rawoptics.com, that's RA, like Egyptian mythology, the god of sunlight,
Yep.
rawoptics.com. And then the Instagram raw_optics.
Yeah.
So that is the company and where you can find the company. Check us
Amazing.
out. You'll have
Yep.
Ben's discount code somewhere in the platform, I'm sure.
Yep, it's
So
Ben10, and we'll make sure we
there
link
we
it
go.
because this will be recorded and put out on Life Network and all the streaming platforms so people can check that out and follow you. And I think you should put more out there, Matt, because it's, yeah, you not only have a really cool, interesting life where people would love to follow you, but just, yeah, I love listening to you and just your thought behind everything. And it's way beyond just surface level. So thank you for
Thank you
going
so
deep.
much. I really appreciate it. I think I'll have to correct or confirm. I think the link might be rawoptics.com/Ben. I think we
Okay.
may have simplified it. So
Perfect.
I would say everyone should check the description because we'll make sure that's exactly correct after this. But
Mm.
I want to say it's Ben actually. So we'll confirm.
Okay.
Anyway.
Perfect. We will confirm that.
Yeah.
Make sure we link
Ben
it
or
correct.
Ben 10, either way. It's one of the two, so you can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Try one or the
Amazing.
other. Yeah. Oh
Amazing.
my gosh. Well, thank you again, Matt. Just again for showing us that healing, it doesn't have to be complicated. It's like getting back to nature and to connection and to who God made us to be, to light, nature, and truth. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah. Awesome, Matt. Well, enjoy the rest of your travels and we will be connected again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you so much.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you, Matt. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.